Williams from our team. Elizabeth Williams from our team is here to help, and you can reach her via the chat box. You can scroll down the list and you'll find her name, and you can direct message her and she will help you with anything that you may need. And so let's go ahead and just get started tonight. So tonight we're going to be talking about the future of heart. And I do want to take a pause for us. Unfortunately, as you all know, we've had Hurricane Ida hit, and we've got some of our friends and family and colleagues that have been impacted by the storm and unfortunately are not able to be with us tonight. So I do want to take a moment to extend to all of them our thoughts, prayers, and let them know they're close in our heart. In addition, we've got some folks that are out in the West that have been impacted by the fires. And so for them to, you are close in our hearts and we want you to stay safe. And now I just want to take a moment and turn our attention to what we're going to be talking about tonight. During tonight's webinar, you're going to learn from our youth advocates what inspired them to get engaged with You're the Cure, hear how they've helped to advance policies in their community, in their state, and at the national level, and then find out how you can help them, how you can engage more folks to help us with You're the Cure. Next slide. And so tonight, I'm going to turn things over very quickly to a very special guest. We have with us tonight Cheyenne Brown, who just recently graduated with a degree in business management and entrepreneurship from the University of Wyoming. She's passionate about all things entrepreneurship, and she dreams of opening her own wedding venue in upcoming years. Cheyenne was formerly Miss Wyoming in 2017 and has been involved with the American Heart Association as an advocate and a blogger since her years of service. She particularly enjoys educating and communicating with children in Wyoming and has worked closely with the American Heart Association and lawmakers in her state to advance tobacco use prevention and health education programs. Cheyenne has been involved with the Wyoming Jump Rope for Heart and Hoops for Heart programs, the tobacco tax lobbying campaign, and is a featured monthly blogger on our You're the Cure network. Cheyenne recently was named to our National Advocacy Committee. And with that, I'd like to turn tonight over to Cheyenne, who is going to be leading a discussion with youth advocates. Cheyenne?
Hello. Well, thank you so much for having me. That was such a nice, warm welcome. I'm very excited to be here tonight. I, like Betsy said, got started with the American Heart Association when I was just 19. I've always been really passionate about advocating for different health policies because I myself am a type 1 diabetic. And as I learned more about the American Heart Association, I also found that it fell more in line with some personal experiences of mine with my dad being a tobacco user as I was growing up. So I was able to advocate for different policies at the state and national level alongside the AHA, kind of just making new connections, developing relationships with lawmakers, and also going all the way to Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., attending a lobby day, just some really great opportunities that I've received through the American Heart Association and people that I've met, policies that I've worked to advance. So I've always really enjoyed my time there, and I'm excited to talk to some of the other panelists from around the US tonight about some of the experiences that they've had too. So like I said, I'm from Wyoming and I got involved specifically with the tobacco endgame, which is something that we'll be looking forward to learning more about tonight. But really, I'd just like to share with everyone how important it is to get involved with policies that you believe in, and that anyone can be an advocate at any age or stage of life. And you can get involved in absolutely any way that you find kind of sparks your passion. So with that, I think we can get into introducing some of our panelists. Oh, let me just say a quick call to action. If you would like to text the word endgame, ENDGAME, all one word, all capitals, to 46839 as we get started. And learn more about the tobacco endgame. Tell us why you're interested, why you're here tonight. That would be awesome. We'll get you some more info there. Okay, let's move into introducing our panelists. So we have 5 rising youth advocates coming at us from all around the US tonight. And let's just get started with Avipsa.
Hi.
Hi, Avipsa. Can you tell us some about where you're from, why you got involved with the AHA, and just kind of some things you're looking forward to?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Avipsa. I am from Maryland, and I have been involved with AHA for almost a year, completely virtual. And I got involved with AHA because it was a program focusing on ending tobacco use in youth and in Baltimore communities. And those two demographics are very important to me. So I thought that joining would help address bigger issues of equity in Baltimore, as well as issues of youth vaping as well. So to combat these issues, I thought this campaign was a great opportunity to raise awareness and educate others about tobacco usage and preventing it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Avipsa. Let's introduce Par next. Can you tell us where you're from, Par, a little bit about you and why you got involved?
Yeah, thanks, Cheyenne. Hello, everyone. I'm really honored to be here today in the company of such bright and passionate folks. My name is Parisui, and I also go by Par. I just graduated from UC Berkeley in Northern California, and I'm currently living in Hayward, just a half hour or so away. And I've been really lucky to work with the AHA for a little over a year now. When I started an AHA student organization on my college campus, specifically focusing on the You're the Cure health policy platform. I was introduced to health policy, this kind of intersection between healthcare and law, by some of my college professors. And I was really fascinated by it because I had always thought of medicine and law as these two kind of very separate entities. So I was really inspired to join the AHA because I could take some of this theoretical knowledge, the lessons that I was finding in my classes, and actually apply it to a real world setting where these like small, consistent efforts actually had clearly tangible benefits for the people in my community and even beyond that. So it was really cool to learn about health equity, advocacy, and also find ways to take some real action.
Awesome. We're so happy to have you here. Next, let's welcome DJ to our little chat tonight.
Hello, everyone. I'm DJ Yearwood from Kansas City, Missouri, and I started working with the AHA this year at the beginning of the year, and it started when I was working with Erin. I don't know her title specifically, but I was working with Erin on our KC Flavors campaign, and we're working on an ordinance that would ban the sale of flavored tobacco and vape products in Kansas City. And that's where I got started from there. And from there, we've had meetings with the mayor's chief of staff. We've communicated with the community, the city council members. And we've put in a lot of work and time, especially Erin and Missy, with trying to get things done to make an impact on the youth in our community. And specifically, one of the reasons why I joined was because of the amount of people and the amount of my peers who use tobacco and vape products, and while knowing the consistent detriment to their health. I joined to try to make an impact and get things done with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Okay, now let's move on to Andre.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andre Scott. I'm calling in from Houston, Texas, and I've been involved with the American Heart Association for 4 months now. I've decided to advocate for the American Heart Association because I wanted to give back to my community by taking actions to fight against heart disease and stroke. As heart disease remains the highest causes of death in the United States, I wanted to make a change against that as it affects my peers and it affects the community around me. I also wanted to advocate for the American Heart Association to promote child rehabilitation, cardiac rehabilitation, and child nutrition to be co-sponsored by my government.
Thank you, Andre. Okay, our final advocate joining us tonight is Alana. Welcome to the chat, Alana.
Hi, I'm Alana. I am 20 years old. I currently attend the University of North Carolina at Asheville, so I'm calling from Asheville, North Carolina. My story with heart goes pretty far back because my mother was actually born with heart disease and had to get heart surgery at the age of 2. And then actually being pregnant with me gave her to go through the whole process again. So pretty much from the time of maybe 2 years old, my mother got me involved with American Heart because it's just like all the work that we do directly affects and helps people like her. And then in addition to that, I lost my grandmother a few years ago to stroke. And it's just like being informed on all the things you're able to do to prevent that from happening. Because it's so personal for me, I've taken my mother's story and my grandmother's story and understood how it personally affects me and why it matters to me. So at one point it was more just like, yeah, this is something I do with my mom because, it's a part of who she is. And over the years, as I've grown and I've gotten to do a lot of national campaigns, do a lot of local work, particularly like with Betsy and with Kim, I've gotten to grow a lot in myself and realize how important it is to me and just how much I'm capable of and all the opportunities that you have even as a young person to have your voice heard. And it's really been amazing for me to get to do work and actually see how it like really affects my community and all of the benefits that you reap from being able to personally speak to people in your community and make change happen and change laws. It's amazing. And I've gotten to grow a lot through my journey with heart since being a little girl. So I'm very happy to be here today.
That's so exciting. Well, we're so happy and grateful to have all of you guys joining us tonight to talk more about your experiences. Just from those introductions, I can tell that there's so much depth because these really are issues that impact all of us. It is personal and it just kind of fits right into our lifestyles with how we can improve them and help others around us. So it's a very easy, fluid thing to kind of get involved with. And that's one thing that I've just really enjoyed about incorporating it into my life. So with that, we're kind of just going to be jumping into a little discussion, going more in depth on some of those experiences. So if anyone wants to jump in at any point and share more of their story, feel free to do so. But I guess I will open the floor. Is there a certain issue that any of you guys would like to expand upon a little bit more that you've worked on in particular and that you're just extra passionate about, where the AHA has been able to kind of provide a pathway for you to help make a change there?
Yeah. So, specifically, at first, whenever I first joined Aaron, I was kind of, iffy about it. Just because I didn't like know everything behind it. But then Aaron really got into the reasons why banning flavors for tobacco companies is harmful. Well, it's not harmful, it's helpful, and why making the flavors is harmful. And it was I guess it was kind of like uh she brought me to realization whenever just going over all of these things and just proving that it's not all a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that whenever you can't advertise anymore, you start to, well, you're not supposed to advertise anymore. You start to make flavors, and especially flavors that appeal to younger generations, or ads that appeal to younger generations. And then whenever you see these high usage rates of young youth, you then partner with or maybe not even partner with, but you have these youth influencers who are clearly youth influencers using products directly online and basically promoting the product and convincing younger students, or not young students, yes, but younger youth in the community to do it too. Um, and so I guess that's the main thing that's like been brought to my attention with AHA, and and just like how like I don't want to be targeted for any reason, and one of those, and that includes my age, and especially I don't want my people who are especially vulnerable to be targeted, and then on top of that, a lot of people get addicted before even knowing all of the harmful things that can happen. So that's what I would say is the firsthand issue that I worked on that I was most passionate about.
Yeah, that's so cool. I've really found how your peers will listen to you because you are their peers, you know? So if we can take the right action and set an example and kind of call out these things that these companies are targeting towards us that are not in our favor, we really do have an influence in a positive direction. So I think that's great. That's why we try to get younger people involved, to target younger people and show them, no, this is actually what's in this, and kind of raise that awareness. So it sounds like you're doing a lot of important work there. What about you, Avipsa? What have you been working on specifically?
Similar to DJ, I am passionate about youth vaping and that type of issue as well. I'm also passionate about how tobacco usage, like products, how they're distributed throughout Baltimore. Typically, they are more distributed in low income communities where people are more likely to buy those products. And it's like an endless cycle of people getting tobacco products and being targeted. And I think that's like a very serious issue. I mean, along with like poverty and those types of things, um, targeting tobacco towards those communities are a big issue in terms of health as well, because a lot of people don't have access to healthcare also in those communities. So it leads to, like tobacco usage and then being sick and then, not being able to have access to a hospital. And yeah, that's just a bad situation there. So I think that is a situation that I'm passionate about. For youth, I've been currently working on with my group, kind of like a youth summit. We are trying to educate others about tobacco usage. We're trying to do like in-person thing, but I don't know what's going on right now. But yeah, so just educating others through like training, games, trying to make it fun, and hear what others have to say about tobacco usage, and maybe like jump off ideas about how we can spread the word as effective as possible.
Awesome. Let's jump over to Andre. What's one of your most memorable experiences as an advocate so far? I know you're relatively new, but do you have anything really exciting that's been going on?
Yes, I do. One memorable experience I had with the American Heart Association's advocacy team was when I first made my introductory blog that was posted on the Texas State Advocacy Post Letter and on the National AHA Advocacy social media. I woke up and I was super excited since my name was officially on the official American Heart Association website, and I had the platform to influence other young people to fight for the causes that they feel are needed to decrease heart disease and stroke within their community and for their family members.
Wow, that's really amazing just how quickly that happens. The AHA has such a great platform. What about you, Par? Do you have a specific story or a memory that was super fun?
Yeah, thanks, Cheyenne. So my situation is a bit unique. I think Avipsa also mentioned this, but I got involved with the AHA in the middle of the pandemic, right around April, May of 2020. So I haven't had the opportunity to get involved with AHA projects with other advocates on the ground, so to speak. But starting an AHA student chapter on campus was probably one of my highlights of this really difficult last year, because I felt that I found a community. I got the opportunity to really connect with other students from a host of diverse backgrounds, and they all came together because they were passionate about medicine, law, social justice, and above all, making a difference in their communities. So despite the virtual classes and the virtual club meetings, I found a strong sense of community through the AHA. And it also really kind of challenged my perception about what advocacy is, right? And what advocacy can be. Our club had several of the leading health policy figures join our meetings as guest speakers, and they were calling in from different states and in even different countries. So for me, it just goes to show that you can really be situated anywhere in the world and still find people who share your values and your passions.
Absolutely. That's powerful. What about you, Alana? Do you have anything you'd like to share as far as experiences or memories or something you're really passionate about?
Yeah, probably my most, I don't know, like the biggest thing that I feel like I've done was back in high school. I think I was like 15. I got to go to Congress, which was a very big deal because I had never, I think before going to Congress, I'd only even been to DC once. And it was very exciting to be a 15-year-old and be like, oh my gosh, people are going to talk to me. I get to talk to them. I get to share my thoughts. And I got to be in a conference room with one of the lawmaker secretaries and actually speak to him one-on-one and tell him, basically pitch my case of, okay, this is why this is important, because that trip was for NIH funding, so the funding of tools and technology and research related to heart disease and getting better tools in place for people, which, as like I mentioned earlier, for me, because of my mother's story, is really important. And I wrote a whole speech and everything, and I came there prepared. And I felt very accomplished actually getting to speak to somebody one-on-one. Like, it wasn't just I wrote a letter and I hope that they read it, but I won't actually know. Like, I got to see somebody in person, speak to them, say everything that I wanted to say. And it felt really good to be heard. Because again, especially just being a young person, that was my 9th grade year. I just did not think people would take me seriously because I was like, I'm just a kid, like nobody's going to listen. And he actually responded to me and we had a very good conversation about his thoughts. And by the end, I'm pretty sure I was able to convince him to agree with me because I think it's especially, I think it touches people more, like even with all the panelists here, like y'all have personal stories about why you care, why it affects you, and that touches people so much more. So getting that experience one-on-one and talking about my own life and experiences with somebody else made it more impactful. So that's like my favorite memory that I have that I've done.
Wow, that's awesome. I had a very similar experience, both when I got to go to my state capital here in Wyoming and meet with lawmakers, and then when I got to go to DC the following year. They really do listen to you because people just think that they don't, I guess, but when you take the time to educate yourself on the issues and form a real opinion, you are in the minority, and we want that to be a majority. So they listen to the people who are willing to speak up because that's their job. That's who they're representing. So really incredible. I'm glad you had the chance to do that. I don't want this to wrap up at all, guys. I mean, I can just tell you have so much more to share. But if a few of you could just speak really quickly to what advice would you give to other young people as far as the value of advocacy or where it can take you, how to get involved?
Yeah, I would probably add to that. Um, the value of advocacy is something that you really do have to value because when you're making an impact on your community or when you're working to make an impact on your community, um, it's not only it's for me specifically, it hasn't been like a whole lot of work, but I can tell from speaking with the people here that it is, and and you know, you won't get one, you won't like make sweeping change. Like you won't change anything directly just from one time. You have to keep trying and trying and trying until you just make that, what you convince that one person, or you convince that group of people, or you convince that body of lawmakers that you are that your case is strong enough, and you prove enough that that they can implement the change that you're begging for, basically. And when advocating for on behalf of your peers in specific, yeah, I know it seems like I know that it seems like, you know, it's not something that normal teenagers would do or normal, but throw normality out the window, because it's not normal when teenagers are are giving themselves a lives worth of harm at such a young age. It's not normal when teenagers are being targeted by tobacco companies that know the harm that they're doing. And it's not normal when lawmakers can ignore and can basically sit and ignore the stuff that us youth are asking them to do. So yeah.
Wow, thank you so much for that, DJ, and everyone on the panel tonight. I mean, you guys are paving the way for future policies and upcoming generations. Yeah, thank you so much for the work that you do. It really does make a difference. And so with that, I will give us another call to action. If you would like to whip out your handy dandy cell phones and text Relentless to 46839. Tell us why you're advocating, why you want to be involved, and we can get you some additional information there too. So definitely take action. As you've heard from the panelists tonight, there are lots of opportunities and ways to get involved. And it's just absolutely something that you'll never regret doing. It absolutely has an impact on future generations and policies that are up and coming. So I can't wait to see what you guys continue to accomplish. And thank you so much for being in our community here.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Everyone, I just got to give a round of applause to Cheyenne and to our youth advocates tonight. This was so inspiring. I have to say, I have worked with Alana since she was very, very young, and have watched her grow up as an advocate, and she's done incredible things and is such an inspiration, just like all of you. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. I want to thank all of the listeners that are on tonight's webinar. This is the fourth and final in a series that we have done in August. We certainly hope you've enjoyed it. I couldn't think of a better way to wrap it up, but to think about the future and how exciting it will be to have more young people and their voices leading the charge as we adopt and work on policies that will build longer, healthier lives. And we are that relentless force. So everyone, thank you so much for being with us. Want to remind you that if you would like, if you have questions tonight that you need to have answered, there is office hours available in each of your regions. So we would love for you to join with your grassroots managers. Hopefully some of our youth advocates will be able to jump on their region office hours if you'd like to talk directly to them and hear more about their experiences. I want to encourage all the adults tonight to get youth involved. We are able to work with young people and provide some wonderful opportunities, and they have the ideas that we want to move forward with. So please join us for that. There is in the chat box links for the office hours. And finally, I just want to once again say thank you so much. We've appreciated everybody's attendance on the webinars this month. We hope you've enjoyed it. Please stay tuned to your email for more opportunities and for some wrap-up information. And once again, Cheyenne and our youth advocate panel, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Good night, everyone.